So today I was, while I was at work, I was catching up on some films from TCM's Gay Hollywood theme from last week that I missed when I went to see Wonder Woman, and I didn't catch up this weekend because I was watching Supergirl, and so today was the last day to watch them because Gay Hollywood comes back tonight, and films only stay on Watch TCM for a week. So I caught up on the last two films from last week's Spotlight that I missed. I'm going to watch all the films in the Spotlight that I haven't seen before. Quite a bit of the Spotlight, like in the middle section, I've seen, so it might be a while. But anyways, the ones I watched today were great, and I'm glad I caught up with them before they fell off the system. The first one being Mitchell Leisen's No Time for Love. Mitchell Leisen is amazing. He was a out gay director at the time. He was like George Cukor. And also like George Cukor, I have never seen a film directed by Mitchell Leisen that I didn't love. He knocked it out of the park every time. He's just so good. He mostly worked with Paramount, and he made these like really great comedies. And so this one, No Time for Love, is a Claudette Colbert, Fred MacMurray jam, and it is so good. I'm like, right now at the office, there's like nobody in the area with me, so I was like laughing out loud, and it was a good thing there was no one there because I was laughing out loud a lot while I was watching this. And so it's about a photographer played by Claudette Colbert, who is very feminist. She takes photos how she sees the world, and her boss is very supportive, but her editor keeps trying to get her to basically take photos that are very male gazy, and she's like, nah, I'm gonna take photos how I want to take photos. So she's got this assignment to take photos of these construction workers, and one of them is Fred MacMurray, and he's very meaty and beefy, and he's a beefcake. And she takes some photos, but because of the context of how the photos were taken, she decided she didn't want to give them to the magazine, and she just wasn't going to run with them. But then they get ran anyways, and he ends up on the cover of her magazine, and he gets fired. And so she gives him a job being his assistant, and his sort of, so that causes shenanigans, obviously. But the reason she has him come as her assistant is because she's attracted to him because of his muscles, and she thinks she doesn't like him as a person, and she's trying to prove that she can actively dislike this person and still work with him even though she's attracted to him. Obviously, this is a romantic comedy, so you know where this is heading. But it's just like they have such good chemistry together. The banter is great. She's so funny. He's so funny. It's just a downright funny movie, and they just keep getting into more and more ridiculous situations. And there's really great commentary on gender roles in this film, both because she's a working woman and an artist, but also because he's like a He-Man type man, and so having her sort of save the day a few times is very emasculating, and she tries to hide that she's helping him to not emasculate her, but in the end, they find a way to both be okay with the fact that they're both strong people, which is great. Apparently, the character that Claudette Colbert plays is based on Margaret Burke White. She's great, and it's just such a fun film. This was the third of 6 pairings of Colbert and MacMurray together. One aspect that I like is there's several moments where they're talking about marriage and why people get married, and the difference between marrying to better your position and marrying for love and being miserable and poor. And it's really interesting, especially when you look at it in under a queer gaze. So I think this was a great pick to show both Leisen's comic ability, but also his way to choose stories that sort of slyly break down the American ideal of marriage. And so that's interesting. And I definitely suggest hunting this film down. I'm not sure if it's on, yes, it's on DVD in the Claudette Colbert collection, so take a look for that. Which brings me to the second film I watched. This was Norman Z. McLeod's There Goes My Heart. So in this one, the spotlight was on Patsy Kelly, who is the best friend character. Patsy Kelly was a lesbian. She is so funny. Like, I don't think I'd seen her in anything, or if I had, I hadn't noticed her. But oh my goodness, she's so funny in this. So the film feels a little bit like what am I talking about? Oh, a little bit of a ripoff of It Happened One Night. And surprisingly, based on a story by Ed Sullivan. Yes, that Ed Sullivan. Virginia Bruce, who's one of my least favorite actresses of this era, is an heiress, and she goes on the run and ends up in New York. And Fredric March is a journalist trying to track her down. And Patsy Kelly works at a department store and takes in Virginia Bruce's character. The department store, of course, is owned by Virginia Bruce's grandfather. So there's shenanigans and trying to escape people and, you know, rich person learning the value of a hard day's work. There's some great supporting characters. Marjorie Main's in it. Our friend Irving Pitchell, who became a director, he's in it. Harry Langdon. Eugene Pallett, who's always good. But mostly the film felt like a poor man's It Happened One Night meets like all of those shop girl movies that Barbara Stanwyck did in the early 30s. So it's okay. I think for me, the most problem with it was Virginia Bruce. I just don't think she has it. She's very pretty, but like I just don't think she's a good actress. And Fredric March does the best he can, but he does that like curmudgeon thing that he does in a couple of other films, and his curmudgeon act is done better in other films. So that was There Goes My Heart, but it's definitely worth it for Patsy Kelly. Like when she's on the screen, it's worth watching. So it's worth it for her. So that was There Goes My Heart from 1938, and earlier, No Time for Love from 1943. They're both great films. No Time for Love, a much better film. Lots of laughs to be had. Gay Hollywood continues tonight and for the next 4 Thursdays in June. So look forward to watching more films.